Hello.
Welcome in, country girl. Country girl, shake it for me. Girl. Luke Bryan.
Welcome in, Luna.
Welcome in, Luna. With this, you can see the El Techo. El Techo del Mundo.
Welcome in, Lily. Hi.
How are you guys today?
I hope my voice doesn't interrupt me too
No,
much.
it's
How's
it's
everyone doing?
beautiful. I love it.
You love my voice.
Yes. But I feel like you could sing like some Amy Winehouse right now if you really wanted to.
I am not singing.
I mean, it's worth a try.
Barely getting my voice back. How are you, Luna?
Well, me or her?
She said, y'all.
Oh, sorry.
Luna, ¿cómo estás?
Now my
Tired?
niece calling me.
That's how I feel. I was at a party yesterday, but it's mainly tired because of the heat. Oh, girl.
Oh, she's getting sick too. Oh
Look
no.
at, like, I literally got sick from one night to, no, within a few hours. My phone can tell you.
Yeah, within a few hours. There we go.
Yeah,
Like now,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
staring at the sky.
No me gusta este filtro, pero ni modo.
¿Por qué? I like it.
No me,
It has like a
you
nice
like
little
it?
bronze. Yeah.
It's making me more bronze than I am. No,
What,
it's fine.
what's wrong with chocolate?
Yeah, the weather is, it really is. All right, guys, so we're here because,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We paused. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I was saying that we're here. As promised, again for Sunday's podcast. Oh, your lighting is lighting.
Oh yeah, I got
Um,
more options too. Mm,
Last Sunday was a little bit short because we were enjoying some time off. And we touched on boundaries. So we're going to continue talking about um, boundary setting. Welcome in, everyone. Um, yeah. Anything you want to say?
Um, yeah, boundaries are obviously super important as far as when it comes to protecting your peace and being able to enjoy a happy life, right? When you don't have certain boundaries in your life, then unfortunately, people find ways to take advantage of you because you don't have those set boundaries in place.
Welcome in, Riken. Yeah. So I think as one of the biggest things I think that we struggle, I mean, as minority, Hispanic community, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to disconnect from people who are consuming your energy or who simply aren't, at the moment, aren't someone that you can support emotionally or in different ways. So boundary setting is one of the things that is difficult for us to do. I think it's one of the, for me personally, it's been one of the most difficult things to do. Is set boundaries with family, with friends, um, just relationships in general that have been a consumption to my peace. But through the time that I've been learning on boundary setting, healing, and personal growth, I've understood that it's one of the most important things as a human being to be able to do. It's okay to say no. It's okay to disconnect. It's okay to pull away and say, you know what? I'm not feeling good in this environment right now. Let me pull back because at the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. Um, I just had a personal experience. I had a friend who constantly was going through different things in life, and as much as I wanted to be there to support this person, this weekend, to support this person emotionally, mainly emotionally, it was I didn't realize it was taking such a personal drain to myself. right? And what we don't realize is that when we are giving other people energy from our glass being just half full, then nos estamos desgastando. And I'm sorry, I'm going to use Spanish, but I'm already struggling with my voice right now, so I might throw some words in Spanish. Pero nos estamos desgastando, giving people energía that we are not putting into ourselves, which we should be our number one priority. So it's one of the hardest things that I had to realize in my healing process is I need I had to learn to put boundaries even with the closest people to me. That could have been for comments, that were being made uh, through what I was going through. I don't think anybody ever understands what you're going through but yourself. So don't ever take another person's judgment to your life or to your experience personally. Al contrario, be able to say, you know what? You can have your opinion, but it's not something I need in my life right now. And be okay with saying no to these people. That's out of my personal experience, little things that I had to do in order for me to continue my personal growth, in order for me to become a better person. I still have those relationships, but at that time, it wasn't contributing to where I wanted to get to my personal peace, to my energy. It wasn't doing anything positive to me. So I had to remove myself from it in order to continue moving forward in the direction that I wanted to go to, along with a lot of reading, because I've read so many different books. But yeah, Manny, babe.
I think for me, the hardest part was me boundary setting. I think it was more something that I learned recently. Feel like growing up, I don't really think that in our types of households we're taught boundaries. We're always taught like, do as you say, whatever we do, whatever we tell you to do, that's what you have to do. I can't like distinctly think of, I guess, so much teachings where we're taught like, hey, you shouldn't be okay with this or you shouldn't be okay with that. I did some reading on a video or a video that I had seen, and they're talking about that we as parents were so quick to tell kids stop talking back because it's disrespectful, but that's the kid learning how to communicate what's wrong with them, and that's the kid trying to understand how to set boundaries for themselves. So I think a lot of our boundary training is minimized during the infancy into like teenage years because it's not a tool that we're taught by our parents. So I think we have to start adjusting and teaching our kids how to set boundaries for themselves at a younger age. That way, once we get into their adulthood era, or their young adults, they understand that, hey, it's okay to have boundaries, and this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I'm not comfortable with. Too many times you see a lot of people are getting in trouble with whether it's police or it's with parents and stuff because they're just acting out, but they're not understanding that, hey, if I had set boundaries, then maybe my boundaries would have prevented me from doing what I'm doing with this friend group or whoever it is that I'm hanging out with, right? A lot of times, nosotros lo dejamos llevar by the people that are around us. We see what our friends are doing or what our siblings are doing, and we think it's okay. Um, but as far as like boundaries, it's very important again, right? I think we just now need to start changing the mold and the as far as like how we're teaching boundaries and doing it at a younger age. That way, we're better preparing our kids uh, on boundary settings and stuff like that.
Well, Camilo.
Welcoming,
And then
welcome.
just to piggyback on that, there's different types of boundaries, right? There's physical boundaries that we set with people. There's emotional boundaries, financial boundaries. Hi, Shane. Mental and intellectual boundaries. There's like different types of boundaries that we need to understand that at the end of the day, it brings not just structure, but a healthy lifestyle when you're able to set boundaries with people. Um, yeah, welcome in, Cindy. Anyways, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. So, what was the first question that you want to talk about?
What first question?
Didn't you give me questions, or were just boundaries in general?
Yeah, like what? Just boundaries in general. I mean, I think what. Hi, boy. Welcome in. what has been, or what, just in the chat, what do you guys think is one of the hardest boundaries to set as individuals? Like, what are some of the things that we have difficulty setting boundaries with, that we need to have boundaries with? Hello?
Well, for me, I think the hardest one was saying no, right? Just because me, I'm naturally more of like I'm really quick to help, and I don't really take the time to process or uh see like the entire picture, right? I don't step back and visualize the entire picture. I just like tunnel vision on what it is that the person needs and what it is that they need help with. And I'm very quick to try to help that person. And in the long run, usually it ends up biting me back, right? I've unfortunately lost a lot by being having that type of mind setting. And like I said, just more recent within the last year or
Mm,
two, I've been learning that it's okay to say no. You know, there's certain people that you know in your life, they're there for reasons that may not be conducive to healthiness in your life, but you choose to help them because you've known them for so long, or their friend, relative, even a spouse, right? There's things that you know that are not healthy for you, but because of how close you are to that person, you tend to bring down your boundaries for that person. And it's unfortunate, right? There was a saying that I was taught when I was little, and I don't know
mm,
how true it is, but they always say that the hardest people to help are family members, right? Because family members, at times, they don't respect your boundaries. They just assume that, oh, because we're related, you have to help me. And there's a lot of
yeah.
times where people get taken advantage of or used
Mm,
by those individuals, and because you guys are related, they think it's okay. And then I think that's where a lot of the financial boundaries also come into play, right? Um, a lot of times people assume just because you're doing good, oh, they can afford to help me with this or they can give me this. And then they get upset when you're like, oh, no, no, I can't do this no more. So, like I said, if you don't set boundaries for yourself, then you're allowing these
mm,
individuals to
mm.
take advantage of what it is that you can offer them or what you could probably be offering to someone else that really needs that help.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And then Rican said something important in the chat. And before I touch on that, I think the other thing, you and I were talking about this earlier, is the importance of boundary setting, right, is really important, but it's also, we need to communicate those boundaries with these individuals. We can't expect another person to know, hey, this person has this boundary with me, or I've reached my limit with them, or whatever the case may be, if we're not communicating those boundaries. So another important part of the boundary setting um, is communicating it to this individual. It's like, I can't expect you, babe, to know that you've crossed a boundary if I haven't explained those boundaries or brought those boundaries up to your attention. Um, you get me? So I think it's really important that we're communicating those boundaries with the people that we care about. Um, and even the people that we're just simply, you know what, I've reached my limit in terms of like what I can tolerate from this situation. This is where I stand. Because if you're not communicating it, then you can't expect the other person to know what your boundaries are, what you feel, what you think, none of the above. And then the other thing is being able to respect another person's boundaries. It came up in the chat. Sometimes I think that because we're not taught boundaries, we're also not taught to respect a person's boundaries. So let's say that somebody handles conflict in a different way and their communication style is different than yours. Say, I need to disconnect. When I get upset, I need to disconnect. I don't want to talk about it until, like I'm ready. And then the other person wants to talk about it. So there's two types of boundary crossing that happening in that situation that we need to be able to respect. Um, so yeah, that's important too, Rican. I think that with time, as long as you begin acknowledging that it's okay to have boundaries, that we are all different and we all process in a different way, you'll learn to understand a person's boundaries and you'll learn to respect them. The more, because at that point, I feel like what I've had to do in those certain situations it's just kind of tell myself, okay, this person processes different than I process. It's not personal. This is not on me. This is just how they process. And that's how I've learned a little bit how to respect another person's boundaries as well.
Uh, so you're talking about that a lot of it is communication, right? And I was seeing
Yes.
that in the chat, some people are saying that they don't know how to properly communicate that. Um, Obviously, communication is never going to be perfect, right? Because it's not only about how you're going to communicate it, it's also about how they're going to convey the message you're trying to communicate, right? And I think 9 times out of 10, when we try to communicate without adding maybe feelings or gestures, that may help the communication process. Like, we can take us for example. The other day there was a situation that happened, and we didn't see eye to eye, right? In the past, and this is something that we've worked on in the past, we were so quick to make it seem like it's you, right? So when we're having conversations, we need to learn how not to make it directly towards the person so that the person is not so much worried about being attacked. So when Diane and I talk, we used to go from, oh, you do this, you do that, you do this. In the past maybe months, we have changed it to, this is how I'm feeling. When this happens, this is what I'm processing in my head. This is how I'm understanding
Yeah.
what you're saying. Now, am I understanding it how you want me to understand? I do not know, right? But I'm explaining to you like this is what I'm feeling because of how you either delivered this message or what you're conveying within your message. Again, 9 times out of 10, when we start communicating in the reference of how you're feeling in that situation and not directing it towards the person that you have the situation with, it's a lot easier to have that communication process.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think in the past, to his point, it's been a response where we're being very defensive and we're just listening to how we're being attacked instead of listening to the person and how they actually felt. Um, and you guys see me smirking and smiling because a year ago, or like, when we first started talking, we probably wouldn't have been here. Um, there was a lot of snappiness, snippiness from both sides, defensiveness, because we weren't listening, one, to understand. We were listening to react and to respond versus to listening to understand how that person is feeling. So changing the way that you communicate how you're feeling to that person and then being mindful. I think that's something that I've really, really like tried to lean into is coming off in a way um where I'm
We
not
can
being where I'm not attacking the person and I'm actually just expressing how something made me feel. Something you said, something you did. This is how it made me feel. You're gonna take it how you're gonna take it, but I'm not saying like, hey, you did this. You get me? I'm not coming on in a confrontational way to where I'm just attacking the person, and it's just more of a communication. Montana, yeah.
and and then to kind of go off of that too as well, like a lot of times when you're communicating in like the form that I'm trying to explain, you can kind of begin to understand what type of friend you have, right? So if I'm explaining how I'm feeling in a situation and that person is just defensive all the time, and it's like, no, this, and they're trying to direct you on how you're feeling, that's not a good person to have around you, right? That person is only there mostly for themselves. I've had issues where I've tried to communicate how I'm feeling, and somehow I'm the bad guy, right? And it's like it's not about pointing fingers or anything. It's like I'm just trying to tell you how this made me feel. But then when there's a switch up and they're starting to turn it on you, like, oh, this, and this, and now all of a sudden they're trying to paint you as the bad guy, you just got to be very cautious, right? Because again, if you can't have someone that can properly communicate with you and they're constantly using the victim mentality or turning how you're feeling against you to make you feel worse, that is not a person that you want to have in your circle because that's usually going to be the person that's always going
Mila?
to be the one that's always against you.
No, absolutely. And I think that at that point, that's where our boundary setting comes, right? you have a conversation with a person, a friend, a partner, a family member, right? And you say, you explain to them, you express to them how you're feeling. All you get back is their defensiveness. Happens again, all you get back is the same defensiveness. Then it's time to protect your energy. It's time to set a boundary and say, ya no más. Um, I tried having a conversation with you. I tried having I communicated with you how this was making me feel. And you chose, whatever the case may be. I no longer want to spend energy in these conversations. And it's tough because I know that all the relationships that we have around us, I'm sure we have around us because they mean something to us, or we care because we're very caring people. But we shouldn't have to care about someone, anyone, at the expense of yourself. Like, that's not okay. Caring for somebody else at the expense of your energy being consumed, of you being left anxious and depressed and feeling, hi, Miss Angela, and feeling like out of place. No, then a boundary needs to be set. That's another sign also to kind of take when it comes to boundary setting is pay attention to how your body feels. Pay attention to how your body reacts when you're around certain people, because energy doesn't lie. Your body will go into like anxious mode. Um, you're probably gonna feel things that like you don't normally feel with somebody that brings you comfort, or in a place where you feel seen and heard. The moment that you're not feeling seen or heard, your body actually starts also reacting to that. So that's something else to keep in mind.
At what point do you feel like, okay, so we were talking about like there's family, like how there's times where you have family members. Like, how do I explain this? Obviously, there's nothing wrong with cutting someone off in your family that you feel like is detrimental to your energy. But how do you go about explaining that to like the rest of the people that are, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You shouldn't have to.
you shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to explain. Thank you so much, Chris. You shouldn't have to explain yourself to other people. If you have I mean, obviously it depends also, right, as the closeness of the family, right? I'm
Hmm.
assuming you're speaking in that scenario. But a relationship between you and somebody else is between you and somebody else. Friendship, regardless of the case of what it is, right? And if you can't continue just getting disrespected by this person just because it's family or just because it's somebody the family knows or whatever the case may be. Your relationship with them is with them. And if they cross the boundary, then that's who you need to set that boundary straight with. Nobody else has to pay for the way that I see it. Nobody else should have to pay for the way that my relationship with this person ended. Um, because my relationship with everybody else is different. Like I have cousins that sorry, Rican. I have cousins that I get super along with, right? And then I have cousins that I don't really interact with like that. But that doesn't make me it doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make the situation awkward. If I go to a family party knowing that this person's gonna be there, then I'm already like my mind's already set to interact with the people that I do get along with and just kind of steer clear from whatever is causing me anxiety or if I set a boundary with this person, then guess what? I'm probably not gonna come around you. But that's a choice that I'm making, right? I'm not gonna knowingly go into a place where I know that I'm gonna be disrespected or feel out of place because at the end of the day, my peace is more important to me than satisfying somebody else's needs.
The ones that don't get me in the parking is crazy. But okay, yeah, I understand that. That was basically like the topic I'm trying to touch on because like you do have a lot of family functions and stuff. So even though you cut these people off because they're affecting your boundaries, at some point in time within that type of setting, you're gonna have to see that individual. And I guess my thing is like, do you allow that to affect how you act around everyone else, knowing that that person is there?
I wouldn't allow it to allow how I act about everybody else around everyone else because they're not part of the problem, right? They're not a part of. the situation that I'm having with this person. But I saw something in the chat that said, what happens when the rest of the family starts to interject, right? Which
Mhm.
we know happens in our families. Like everybody wants to either be in the know of what's happening or
I want
want
to
to,
fix it.
fix it or give their 2 cents. Um, I think when it comes to family and stuff like that, I'm very direct. And I think that it's again about boundary setting at that point, not at the same extent as the person that you're having the issues with, but with family, like, hey, this has nothing to do with you. I would respect if you respect me and just kind of stay out of it. But again, it's about communicating it and standing on business. But you shouldn't be wrong for standing on business because it's how you feel. And a lot of times, like I said, I just try to surround myself. Um, if I know somebody, if the problem is that big with this person, then I'm probably not showing up.
Okay.
Just to be clear, just to protect my energy. If I know that this is such a big problem, and then they say that it's not a big family function, something smaller, then I'm probably not gonna be there. Now, if it's like a big family function, there's a lot of people there. Then there's so many people. My family's really big, so I guess in my situation, it's easy to kind of divert to like the next person or go somewhere else, just because there's so many of us. But in small situations, I could see how that could be a little bit difficult. But I would just say have a good line of communication, and don't be afraid to set your boundaries because like you also can't expect them to know how you're feeling or what the situation is if you're not communicating that with them, and if they're interjecting and you're not communicating, hey, can you stop interjecting or just let us fix it? I already handled it, then that's where the problem lies, right? You got to make sure that you're setting um, those boundaries and that you're being clear with whoever's involved.
So I guess we can move on to like more like boundaries for like relationships as well, right?
Welcome in, mind your
Oh no,
business. Welcome in, everyone.
you want to talk about boundaries on apps, right? Was that one of the
In
topics?
social media,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that would
maybe,
be a good one.
absolutely. Social
Oh,
media boundaries.
uh,
Why did this come up? I forgot why this come up. Somebody brought it up in a chat, right?
somebody brought it up about is it okay for your spouse or whoever you're talking to follow certain individuals that are not of the tasteful type of content? I think that's where that came from.
I forgot who it was. Somebody brought it up in a chat. And somebody also did brought up like, hey, like I don't care. I know my partner, but also my partner doesn't do that. Like they don't follow that type of profiles. To me, it's just a respecting, I guess I would say. Depends what type of content you're following, but at the end of the day, whatever the other person decides to do is on them. So it is a reflection of who you are and the type of content that you're into, personally. And if you look at, if you read or if you do the research, like you will find that more and more. Who you follow reflects who you are. But that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm not sure if the chat wants to contribute. My following isn't big just because I'm really picky in general of who I follow. Like, you have to bring, how do I say it? Like, there has to be something that
Value,
a
value to your life.
value that you bring to my life. Like, so let's say that you and I have had a conversation, we interact in a chat, then I'm probably following you. If you and I had a good conversation in the chat, then I'm probably gonna follow you. Now, I'm not gonna follow you just because you have a six pack and you're, you know, just because you have a six pack. Now, if you're lifting, if you're showing like different workouts, techniques, different things, meal preps, that's a different story. I follow people who bring value, and that I actually would like to interact with. Because that's what I want to see on my FYP, if that makes any sense. That's just with TikTok. But even I think even in my like other social medias, same thing. So for me, it's as long as respect isn't lost, as long as you're not being disrespectful to your partner, in any circumstance, then that's yeah.
So, so let's say if you do get in a committed relationship and that person
Mm.
has certain following, would you ask that person to get rid of those followings, or you're just
No,
gonna trust? Okay.
no, I wouldn't ask you to get rid of those followings, but I wouldn't like new followings of the same type of the past to come up, if that makes sense. Like I can't change what you did before me, in any relationships, friendships, anything. But anything that comes after, then that's a reflection again of the respect that you have for that person.
So,
The chat went silent.
yeah,
A
we're talking
committed
about
relationship.
committed relationship is crazy.
And the
Oh,
chat went silent.
sorry. Um, what do you mean, Rican? I'm confused.
What do you mean,
Is it
everything?
because of what I said? Or you just think that in general it should be any type of relationship? There should be
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Wait, what's a committed relationship in your eyes? Maybe
me?
that's what she wants it. Yeah, maybe that's what she.
I got
Mm.
commitment issues. I
Never
don't.
mind. I think I got the response.
Oh, okay. I guess a committed relationship, right, is where you both come to an agreement that hey, this is something that we want to work on and see where it continues from here. Usually, obviously, there's no set time frame, right? Because everybody moves at a different pace. But it's I think more around the time where you start to become in
You're
agreement with you.
blocking everyone? Can you elaborate on that?
I think it's more
Welcome in, Matt.
about you both agreeing that this is something that you guys want to continue to work on. I think that's where the commitment part comes in, right? Because I've seen people that have been together for years and they're not committed to one another. So I think
Oh,
it's when there's an agreement.
yeah. No, Rican, to your point, if the person, okay, so let's say you're following, can say that message. No. Yeah, yeah. No, and that was a conversation I had early on with Mofongo too, is like his following became something different once he was out of a relationship. But Rican, I think that if there was anyone that was the prospect, I think that's a different story of the following, to your point. Hi, Anna.
Yeah, we see him.
Hmm.
I see
She's
a
in here.
gnat.
No, Anna's in here. Mm.
Oh, there she is. Hola, welcome in.
Hi. Yeah.
Thank you for the heart me.
Um, okay.
We're getting to relationship boundaries now.
Mm, we can. I didn't have anything on that unless you want to touch on that.
Basically, why is it that we're so easy to lower boundaries for our partners?
In what way?
Like what is the misunderstanding, right? So like for me, I when I ended up in the relationships that I ended up in, I just seemed to be a little bit more giving than normal, right? Even though like I knew this it
Mhm.
was going to affect me in a negative way. Why is it that when we in general get into a relationship, we're so willing to give instead of respecting our own boundaries? Like, what do you think is the cause of that?
Mm,
Like, your boy, I think your boy's kind of like understanding, right? So, like, I don't want to, like, when you've been in relationships, you've allowed things that you know are not good. So,
because
what
I
is
didn't
it?
boundary set at the time. So
So you think just because you did,
I have an understanding now of what boundaries are and how they contribute to my day in and day life, right?
uh-huh.
And like your self-respect. But I think at the time I didn't understand the need for boundaries. Um, yeah, I
I
think
guess
that
my question is, do we confuse love for boundaries? Do we, is that the reason why we lower our boundaries because we assume that this person loves us and isn't going to hurt us, that we bring those walls down?
Probably.
right? Because like in a relationship,
But we
if you're
hang
part,
on to love. We hang on to love, thinking like, hey, it's okay. They won't do it again. They love me,
but
right?
that's what I'm
Or I
saying.
love this
So
person.
at that point in time, you're saying, "Oh, this person loves me," even though you know they're crossing your boundaries.
Correct.
Why is it that we allow love to replace our boundaries in relationships? Is what I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is that something that we were conditioned to growing up, or is that something that we just assume that that's what we're supposed to do?
Well, I think that is because growing up, we're not taught self-respect. We're not taught to put yourself first. So, yes, maybe we're conditioned to, hey, putting another person first or putting up with shit that, we shouldn't be putting up with. Because we're not taught that, hey, you gotta put yourself first. You can't allow things like this to slide. And it's what we grew up seeing, watching, observing. Like it's literally how we were conditioned.
As like in my case, right? There's a lot of things that I'm having to fix now. Now that I'm out of the situations that I was in, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, man. So not only did it cost me this much financially, now it's costing me even more financially that I'm out of this situation. And it's like, why was it that I never set, or why was I never able to say no, or why was it that I allowed my boundaries to be crossed? So I guess the confusion for me was is like understanding, was I using love as a boundary setter in relationships?
You were pouring into someone else before you poured in yourself. So I think the biggest thing that we learned coming out of these places and situations that took a lot from us, right? It took self-respect. It took crossing of all our boundaries. It took uh, like our emotional, mental, everything, right? Um, After that is when we learn to love ourselves and to pour into our cups before we poured into someone else.
So that,
Prior to that, we're we're too focused on loving the other person that we think that it's okay to overlook certain things or they cross a boundary or whatever and just be okay with it. Yeah,
yeah, so kind of it's like instead of keeping our cups full, we're pouring our cups into the ocean.
basically because they did nothing with it either. So
Correct.
basically.
Um, yeah. So to touch on that is basically what this is all coming back to is like Anna's saying, you have to know your self-worth and you have to love yourself first. And it's something that Diana has taught me. Your favorite quote? What's your favorite quote?
Um, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about my Jim Rohn quote. It's take care of you for me, and I will take care of me for you. So always take care of you first. I know we have, mothers, fathers in the chat. But even for you to be able to provide for your little ones, for the people that you care about the most, you need to be okay. You need to be taken care of. You can't take care of anyone else if you're halfway
Yeah,
full. Like
if you
it's not
believe
gonna
it.
work.
And and that quote is so contradicting to how we were raised, right? Because
Yep.
when we're raised, the man is like, you're supposed to take care of everything. There's no complaining. You have to do this, this, and this. And for young women, it's, oh, it's your job to do this. These are your functions as a woman. This is how you please your husband. And that world doesn't exist anymore. And even
Yeah.
in that setting, that world back then wasn't even a proper setting, right? I think a lot of that macho mentality in growing up or raising your male kids, and the more feminine mentality for raising your daughters, I think that is long gone, right? And that's been gone for the longest because with inflation and how expensive it is almost impossible nowadays to
Yeah.
manage a household on your own. So that idea or that concept has changed probably dating back almost what it's probably been like 20, 30 years
Welcome in, Adrian.
since that concept has been molding into what it is now.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, there's nothing wrong with kind of holding on to certain ideologies, and if that's what you want to do, and that's like your way of showing it in a relationship, that's fine. But we're we're conditioned to believe that that's how it's supposed to be. I think that was one of my biggest issues growing up, right? And experiencing my first actual relationship, and this is me holding accountability here, guys. My thought process was if I provide you everything, then there should be no reason why you couldn't provide me this, right? And unfortunately, that toxic mentality, because it's a toxic mentality now, right? Because
Mm.
I think 9 times out of 10, that's going to ruin a relationship when you believe that the woman belongs in the kitchen or the woman belongs cleaning, or vice versa. The man has to provide everything financially, this, and this. That mentality no longer exists. And that's where, or those are reasons why you start to see in relationships a lot of head bumping, right? Because so like Diana, very independent, right? In her eyes, she's like, well, why is it you're setting certain tasks for me to do when I can provide the same thing you're providing, right?
Welcome in, next.
So now you get into a situation here where
Mm.
now our egos are battling one another, right? Her ego of being independent and I'm able to provide what you can provide for me and still do what you're asking me to do. Now her ego's like, I don't need you. But then his ego's like, well, this is how I was raised. This is how it's supposed to be. So we have to break our kids out of that cycle, right?
Generational
We
cycles.
have to get rid of that generational cycle because I think once you start reshaping that cycle right there and you start teaching boundaries, I think things start to get a little bit easier for you in life, right? When you have certain, it's like, how do I explain it, right? You wouldn't go to war without like armor, right? So I
Yeah.
guess the way you should look at it is like I'm preparing my child or my kid with bits and pieces of boundaries, and these boundaries are going to be the armor that hopefully helps shape them into being a successful and happy person.
Yeah.
No, yes,
It
I
has
agree.
to become.
It can be compromised from both sides, but the problem is the toxic energy that was implemented at a young age. It's very hard to break somebody out of that cycle. It isn't until like so I could tell my kid this is how you're supposed to do, this is how your relationship's supposed to go, but it isn't until they end up in that situation that
Do
you
you do you think that's do you feel like maybe that's how you feel you were brought up being a man? Because as a woman, like we grow up seeing like my mom didn't work, right? Throughout her life, like didn't have like a real job. She did some jobs here and there, but nothing like stable like that. Um, but when it comes to me, my sister, like we've worked like all our lives, right? I can provide. I feel like I can provide for myself. Maybe not in Cali. I can, if I really wanted to, provide for myself, with a household without. And do you think that that's how it was because growing up, obviously you're a man, so it was a little bit different of like the expectations that they set for you guys. It's like, okay, you gotta, if you have a family, you have to provide 100% of the time or whatever the case may be.
I think nowadays it's more than just how you're raised, right? Because that's what's promoted, right? It's promoted in whatever you watch, whatever you see. That's what's pushed out there.
Yeah. Yes, no, because like I said, in like as a woman, I've never been like, I feel like I've always been able to do it on my own.
Because
Um,
I've watched my mom work her entire life, and my father work their entire lives. You know what I'm saying? So like, I
yeah,
think that was more of like things that you were just taught, or I was taught, like, oh, as a man, you should be the provider, right? That's always the concept. It's the man should always be the provider.
Gotcha.
But like with the workforce changing how it has changed in the last 30, 40 years, that notion of the male being the provider doesn't really exist anymore.
Right.
And I
Mm,
think that and I'm saying this in general because I have seen new parents, right, teach their kids at a young age that, oh no, you're supposed to be providing, you need to do this, this, and this.
yeah.
Let's see. So Anna
Basically.
W parents, Anna,
Yeah.
right? Me was more like you need to do whatever it is that you have to do to make sure that you're okay, and that way you can provide for someone else. And has to be the provider no matter what, even if she makes more money. See, I don't agree with that. But okay, so based off your comment, is that something that you were taught at a young age, or is that something that you learned as you got older?
I've seen that a lot too, Anna. That's been in the past,
And
I
that's kind
completely
of like what I'm getting at with that. Well, you
You
completely just
completely disagree with what part, your boy? I know. Yeah.
because my question is, so if she's how do I explain this? I think so. Maybe does this come down to maybe like ethnicity, maybe? Oh, okay. I see what
Yeah,
you're
no,
saying.
yeah, there shouldn't be. I don't think that there's a specific role. I think there, in a way, to Anna's point, I feel like as a woman, I feel like in the past, I've always felt like it's become like an intimidation to the man when a woman makes more than them.
It's their
in my
ego.
experiences in
The
my
ego.
experiences I still want my man to lead, right, to lead in the relationship in ways that he can, but I'm also here to grow with a person. So I don't think that the gender roles for me apply, just because tough times can happen to anyone. It can happen to a man, it can happen to a woman. In a partnership there should be compromise to, if I should be comfortable to know that, hey, if I don't got it, you got it, and if you don't got it, I got it. That's how I see.
But like my thing is like you can still be protective in a relationship, right? And you can still provide things that maybe a man can do, but it doesn't have to be through financial. It doesn't have to be through a financial burden, right? Like providing doesn't have to be something financially. Is what I guess is where I'm at.
Writing doesn't have to be what, babe?
Just strictly financial,
Correct.
right? You can still protect and provide as a man for whoever your spouse is. But I think the notion is once you start putting money into the situation, and if she's making more money or making the same amount of money, that doesn't make you a provider. I think that's a false concept.
Right. Yeah, I
Because
don't
my
I
thing is
feel like
like
as a woman I don't look for a man to provide for me financially,
because if
because
it's
I can
based off
provide for
financial,
myself. Mm,
because if it's based off financial, what happens when you have a debilitating injury and
that's what
then
I'm saying.
you can't provide financially? The
Nope.
government's not going to give you enough money to continue to provide more than she can.
Mm-hmm. Exacto. I agree.
Sorry, you only got like 300
Uh,
characters.
I don't have enough room to articulate my thoughts in
Yeah,
the
I think
chat.
that's where the misjudgment is, right? We believe that men are providers because we can provide financial stability. I don't think that's what it is anymore.
That's not necessarily, yeah, that's not true anymore.
Like I can provide myself here in Michigan, right? But if I had the same job here and I moved to Cali, I'm gonna be on the streets with the bums in Cali because we're on two
No,
different
you're
financial
not.
levels here. I'm just saying in general, right?
Yeah.
What I make here financially isn't enough to hold me afloat over there financially. I'll give you a job. Welcome in,
Right,
Perla.
Anna? He
But
just needs to
I
come to
think
Cali. Hi,
we just need
Perla.
to
Hi,
take that
Mirza.
financial aspect out of providing. You can still provide and protect as a man. For a woman, it just doesn't have to be solely financially. That just I guess that's
Correct.
where my confusion is. So say you feel like a
Correct.
protector because you're strong, but the partner needs emotional protecting too. Correct.
No, well, that's what leading isn't just leading with protection. Whoa, pause. Um, isn't just leading with protection, is leading with um guidance, emotional support, compassion. Like I said, like what happens when you're struggling? You should feel comfortable to know that I got it. And what happens if I'm struggling? I should feel comfortable to know that you got it, not just in a financial way, but that no matter what, we're going to get through it together. That's what I feel like as a woman, I look for. It's not just the financial support, well, not really financial support. It's the emotional support, is how committed this person is to growing with me and to going through those things that life just, randomly throws at you. It's not
Yes.
necessarily like the financial aspect or, hey, I need you to fight a bear for me, although he wants to fight a bear. It's more being there for your person. Like, no matter how bad things are getting, like, hey, I can still talk to you. We can still get through this together. We're not shutting down. And that's the strength that I need from my partner.
Yeah, I went through something like that in life, right? Financially, I was the provider. The person had their job and they're providing for themselves, and I was taking care of everything. But then, because I didn't have financial boundaries and I was always so quick to say yes, I allowed my credit to get destroyed, and then garnishment started hitting me. So I went from the provider to barely making anything because once those garnishments started hitting me, those 2 years, imagine going from making $1,600 a week to 250. So that was the situation that I was confronted with, and I guess that's probably where one of the red flags came out too. But we won't. But I'm just saying, like what I'm saying, I had to lean on that person, even though that person was the one that caused the financial stuff that I had to fix afterwards.
Right. Yeah, I think circumstances that we go through do show you a person's colors and intentions. So I don't think I would ever let a person's behavior not dictate who they are as a person, because sometimes we let their actions and their behavior just kind of slide, although they're telling us with signs with a freaking big ass flag in their forehead. They're telling us, I'm a red flag. But yeah, we continue going. Sorry. Welcome in, everyone.
So yeah, that's kind of that's what I was touching about too, like because I think we allow love to misconstrue what it is that we see happening. Like we know it's a red flag in any other relationship, right? Nine, there's so many times where we're willing to give advice to others about how to handle a relationship, and I talked about this last week. But then we turn around, and the stuff that we're telling someone else not to accept, you're accepting it in yours, right? So it's just it's confusing because it's like you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you just don't listen to what you tell other people to do.
Right.
Welcome in 2 times G. Where are we at now?
We are at
My man
my
hit all
man.
his red flags until after we got married. It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
But see, at Exotic, I think that's where the issue is, though, with us men. We want to. Why is it that we have to put our feelings aside? I don't get it.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case.
I think that's the general problem with us. We try to hold in so much as men that once you can't hold no more and that dam gives way, now you're just off the rails. You know what I'm saying? Like now you're it's like you're looking for ways to close it back up, but you can't. So why not? Why instead of allowing the dam to build until the wall ruptures, you don't let some of that out daily? Exactly.
Exactly. That's a problem. Men shouldn't hold it in because then they do explode, men or women. I think that was one of my biggest issues in communication with my partner is holding things in until I explode. And that's not a them problem, that's a me problem. If I'm holding something in, and you as a man, if you're choosing to hold things in, that's on you. You shouldn't have to hold it in. Like it's a completely different world that we live in. Men's emotions are valid. Women can lead. Yes, we can. Men's emotions are valid, but you have to be able to speak on them as well and not wait until like you're just bottled up everything that you've been wanting to say and not saying it.
Yeah, I don't see what leading has to do with releasing emotions or communicating your emotional
Yeah.
distress. I don't.
Yeah, we do lead.
I'm trying to understand how it is that those connect.
I don't hold things in, but I'll explain things unemotionally. I'm not hurt until I blow. So then that's like, at least you're aware, your boy, that there's like, um, you just gotta work on the way that you communicate those feelings. I mean, nobody's perfect, but as long as there's willingness and compromise from both people, where you're willing to communicate how you feel in a proper way, you're not gonna get it right the first time. You're not gonna get it right the second time. You might not get it right the fifth time. Like you just have to be able to constantly communicate with your partner or your relationships, whatever, where whatever type of conversations you're having, and be able to work through it. It's not gonna come out right from the beginning.
So,
I know you're being
so,
serious.
so exactly. Have you been in leadership settings? Yes, no. Because you cannot tell me that you've never got into an altercation or a situation based off how you feel with somebody. No one has ever made you mad to where you got into an altercation in a leadership setting.
So your ego is not a feeling? I'm sorry, I worked in leadership
Because
for the last 10 years.
I've seen men that when they don't like somebody and someone irritates them, they allow their emotions to dictate how they treat them in a work setting. And I've been supervising for 15 plus years, and it's happened to me.
Men are so emotional. Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I'm not trying to attack you, but as someone that's been in leadership for so long, I've had moments of weakness where I've allowed how I felt about somebody automatically judge how I'm going to treat that person or how I'm going to get that person, basically like how I'm going to get even with that person. I've had that happen so many times. And that's a good thing. But the problem with that, Anna, is are we more emotional sometimes than women? Yes, but the problem is we don't know how to communicate it properly, right? Because 30 years ago, there would be no such thing as an emotional man. That's kind of what we want, but now it's like, how do we teach them to communicate it properly?
They
Oh
have
my
to.
God, exactly.
Oh my goodness, bro. What is your excuse? Because men be emotional without having that. So I'm just gonna leave that there. But um,
Right, let's move on from that topic then, because
yeah.
welcome in, Anna.
The other thing in terms of like emotion is, I think the biggest thing for both men and women is educating yourself on it. If there's so many books that you can read on emotional intelligence, that hi, welcome in. I think Luna shared the live to you. Welcome in. Um, there's so many books that you can read on emotional intelligence that can help either or, because there's decision making that I know a lot of women have to make that are tough decisions that take removing emotion out of your decision making. So you can't sit here and tell me that women are more emotional than men, because I feel like it goes both ways. As long as a person is educated with emotional intelligence, that's what's going to make the difference. So I don't agree with your comment um at all. And again, it's about communication with your partner, with your relationship, setting boundaries. Um,
And
exactly.
and to touch on that too,
Mhm.
right? Okay, you're saying women go through more, but what are we doing to provide a less stressful environment for them, right? So if you come home from work and she's been with the kids all day, she's been cooking and cleaning, what is it that you're providing her to where like what it is, or whatever she does on a daily basis doesn't seem as much stress. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you come home and
Okay.
do you take over for her? Okay, but you're saying that just like you're jumping back and forth. You're saying that they can't do it, and then
Welcome in,
now
Chris.
because you're a provider, they can. You're like all over the place right
Being a
now.
provider doesn't give me the emotional support that I need, or even the mental stability, the support that I need. Being a
So like,
provider, it
so what are you gonna do? Hire a maid and a babysitter? Is that how you're
welcome
gonna
in,
help her?
Oski.
Is that where your providing mentality comes from? Because from what you said earlier, it's their job to take care of the kids and cook because that's how it was
That's how you guys were
taught
taught
to you.
up.
That's how you were taught.
Yeah. Welcome in, Santiago. Yeah, I think it's definitely as no, hold her hand. Feeder giver was um,
That's
boundary
what I'm getting
setting.
at, Anna.
My woman hits me. She said it's because I'm emotionally unavailable. What do I do? Dude, it's hard in chat. Yeah. Um exactly. The chat is chatting. I love it.
Yeah, they are.
They're chatting. Back to our topic of boundary setting and setting effective boundaries, right? I think that to the point of this conversation is making sure that you're clear on what your boundaries are, um, with your partner, with your family, with your friends, that you communicated and are direct about it. Sugarcoating things is not gonna get you anywhere. The more you sugarcoat, the less communication that you're actually getting across to the other person. And being consistent to what you've been talking about, Matt, babe, is um, you can't let like love, blind you from like actually setting your boundaries. Or you can't pick and choose when you want to set your boundaries. You have to follow and love yourself regardless of the fact and respect yourself all the time, to where you're consistent with that boundary that you have set. Even with family, like you can't go from like, "Oh, okay, it's okay for you to joke with me like that today. But the next time I'm here, I'm upset because I allowed you to joke with me that way." Like you have to be consistent with your with the boundaries that you're setting. Mm, I don't show your thought. True.
Well,
With the boundaries.
I've had conversations with your boy. Your boy, you do a great job of articulating what's wrong, but I think in conversations that we had, I think the difficult part for me was is when you articulate how you're feeling and what's wrong, you do the opposite. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, I don't, what can I talk about? What we've had a conversation about before? About the ghosting. Just give me a yes or a no, and then I'll go from there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so when you articulated to me, right, in our Discord call that you feel that I disappear and then I come back for certain situations, right? And you told me how that made you feel. Like you told me that yes, you know that you've done it, right? And you understand that maybe you shouldn't be the one like kind of talking on the topic, but it was something that bothered you. So, I took what you took in what you were telling me into consideration and I became a little bit more active within our group and our stuff like that. But it's like how can I take into full consideration what you told me, but then you turn around and then you're gone like for a couple of days and I'm here messaging you and I'm getting no reply. You know what I'm saying? Like you do a great job of articulating what it is that you want and what it is that you feel that is happening. But I feel like sometimes it's more of like you're telling the person what it is that they're doing wrong, but you're not really taking the actions into consideration so that you can continue doing the same thing you're asking someone to do for you. That makes sense?
No, your boy is really good at
No, like I
articulating
said, he's very good at articulating.
his
It's just
feelings.
like I guess like my thing, like I said, is like I'm gonna do whatever it is that you asked me to do for you, but I want it in return as well, right? Like if this is a general concern, I'm gonna fix it because I hold you on a high pedestal. You're a great friend, but I also would like the same thing back. And I get it. We go through life stuff and things happen in life, but my thing is like it doesn't take like that much to say, yeah, I'm doing good. I'll get back to you. I'm sorry, I've just been busy, right?
I think it's that
Uh,
part, right? I think
right?
it's that part is the communication
The
portion of it
communication
of
part.
like, hey, like, you know what? We get it. Life is lifing. Life is moving fast. It's freaking about to be September. My birthday's next month. Like life is lifing. So the years going by fast, things happen. We all go through our own feelings, our own circumstances, our own shutdowns, our own up and down. But as long as there is communication, like a simple 30 I was like on weekend the other day, like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Hey, how are you? How are you doing? I do to try to tell myself, like, hey, people are busy, right? People are going through things. But like as long as you make the time to connect again, even for a few seconds, and say, "No, you don't have to tell me to that you're going to the restroom." Um, uh, if you take the time to just say, "Hey, I've been busy. Um, I will get back to you as soon as life gets a little bit lighter, or as soon as things get a little bit easy." Whatever the case may be, I think that I am an understanding person. He is an understanding person, and when you have friendships and relationships, people are very, very compassionate about what we go through. But just have an open line of communication, even if it takes 2 seconds, and you say, "Hey, I've been busy. I don't have time right now. Let me get back to you at a better time." Whatever the case may be, because he says, you articulate very well. Therefore. Um, and then that comes to
Come in, lax.
welcome and lax. That comes into like the way that you communicate, right?
Not met with the
You
same
said that
issue.
last time. He said that last time too. Um,
Thank you, Lex. Like other people do similar things and they aren't met with the same. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But how do you
yeah,
know how okay, so how do you know that's the situation though?
I don't know.
You know what I'm
Hi,
saying? Like,
Lex.
so what I'm assuming is
I
like
think that's a
same
side
converse.
conversation.
Okay, all right, side conversation.
Yeah, can you guys like have that conversation on
All
the
right.
side? Um, that does come to like a let's say the way that we communicate things to a person is making sure that even though we're setting boundaries and even though we're communicating directly and clear, we're also being respectful and we're calm. We're not agitated. We're not like frustrated. Um, as you know, I love you. He said we can have it because, oh, he said we can have it.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, you gotta tell us who you're talking about because how you know that, sir. Um, But yeah, be able to communicate it, but in a calm way, right? Where there's no disrespect towards the other person. You're being respectful to a person's feelings, to a person's the way that the person likes to be communicated to. But staying clear and direct in your boundary setting with them. Um, expect pushback, right? People are gonna push back to your boundaries. I can't with him. Um, expect people to push back from your boundary setting. People will challenge you. I feel like when you set a boundary, people will poke and poke
Hmm.
the bear more, trying
They're
to
gonna
test your
test to see.
boundaries.
Yeah, they're gonna test to see if you're on how your boy would say standing on business.
Standing 10 toes on business. Yep. So be ready for that. But just make sure that you stay firm to
What it is
like
that
what
you
it is.
want. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few books that I've read on boundary settings per usual. Um, that I've taken a little bit away. The fear walls are higher.
It
Um,
wasn't protect China from Attila the Hun, but okay.
that's so funny.
No, but
Um,
yeah, I guess what was the quote that I gave last week? Don't allow boundaries to build walls, but allow vulnerability to build bridges. Is that what it was?
yeah,
Right?
you're
Boundaries are not there to keep people out. Boundaries are there to allow good people into your life.
that's also really true, your boy hit on something that's so true. Sometimes you don't know that you have a boundary
Hmm.
until you feel a certain way. So that's why I was saying earlier, pay attention to your body. Your body will always tell you like, hey, um, if your energy feels off around a certain situation, certain people, then your body is telling you, like, hey, there might be a boundary that you need to set in this situation because you're uncomfortable, right? Because you don't feel your normal self in that dynamic. So just learn to read yourself. The more you love yourself, the more you'll learn about yourself in terms of like even your boundaries that need to be set.
You want to say your gut feeling is usually more right than your heart?
Your what?
Your gut feeling is usually more correct
Than
than
your
your
heart.
heart. Yep.
Yep. There's two books that I've read that have helped with like the boundary setting because it's so hard to say no. One is called Set Boundaries and Find Peace by Nidra Glover, and the other one is Boundaries by John Townsend and Henry Cloud. Those two books, they talk about boundaries. Sometimes there's boundaries that you need to set with yourself, you know? When it comes to financial boundaries, sometimes you need to set those with yourself, with other people, but also with yourself. So those are books that I have read that have helped like throughout time through like these last few years in terms of like being able to remove myself from situations and circumstances that disturb my peace. I no longer like allow that. If there's anything that makes me uncomfortable, you just won't see me there. You just won't find me there. And that's in order for me to protect myself. Um, I try to surround myself with positive energy, and people that, bring um positive things to life, like in different ways. So I really do try to stay away from like negative things because it does bring you down. In a room of four negative people, you'll be the fifth one. So always remember that. Welcome in as
Welcome in, Diana.
I'm in here. Oh,
No, some other Diana.
oh my bad.
So we learned today that we love boundaries, and boundaries are good for us. Don't allow
Yes.
people to remove your boundaries, because once you allow people to remove your boundaries, then they start to expose your heart.
No boundaries lead to people disrespecting you.
Ooh, what was that other quote? You can't expect to know people, or you can't expect people to know how to treat you if you don't know how to treat yourself. So if you don't respect yourself, how do you expect someone else to respect you? Ooh, I'm cooking.
That is so true. It starts with self-respect, and self-love before anything else.
Ooh,
Um, any other, I think we
I
finished.
think
Any
yeah, we did
other
all the boundary stuff. Yeah.
any other things that you guys want to talk about? I don't know what your time looks like, babe. I'm free.
6 o'clock.
Um, no, like
Oh yeah, I gotta take the girls to go. Take the girls to go. Get their slushies because they wanted slushies.
oh, 7-Eleven.
Yeah, you know that's gonna be a bill. I need to set. I need to set financial boundaries with my daughters. Is what I need to do.
Um,
Should be no reason why I'm spending $70 at a 7-Eleven.
that's crazy. Any other topics that you guys want to talk about, or what would you guys like to see? I think we'll be on next. Welcome back,
Do you
sorry.
work next Sunday
Next, do I
or
work
this
next Sunday?
Sunday? This Sunday coming up.
I don't know my schedule yet because I haven't done it.
Okay, so we talked. I know last week we kind of touched on it. We're gonna try to do weekly podcasts. That way everybody's not confused on days and times and stuff. And there is gonna be one podcast that will be a night podcast. And that would be all basically reflected around Diana's work schedule, because she has to work at least one Sunday a month.
Yeah.
So we're trying to see if we can. You said the first Sunday, right? Was that what you're looking
Either
at?
the first or second Sunday of the month.
So either the first or second Sunday of the month will be the night podcast. Obviously, I've been lazy, so I got to download all these last three podcasts, find some clips, and then upload it to the other page. And then on the other page, I'll promote a schedule once we have a concrete schedule. I tried downloading that Telemi, whatever the heck that's called, to allow people to send
Topics or questions or
private
scenarios.
topics, but I do not like how that app works. So I am still trying to find a app that allows someone to request a
Bye, Lily.
topic without having to put your name on it. Have a beautiful day, Lily.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any
Yes.
ideas of a website that
And
can do that for me,
if in the meantime, if there's any certain topics that you want to talk about, you can DM us. Obviously it's confidential, your choice. Um, anything that you guys would want us to discuss. He is trying to create that app so
does
that
so
it brings topics.
Discord has an anonymous one.
Welcome in Mendoza.
Maybe have a section where people can hop in boxes because me and Exotic had things to say. Okay, that's
Yeah. At the
that's
end of the
something we can
live.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look
Mm,
into that. How you doing,
look into
Mendoza?
that. Welcome in Myra.
So then, what we'll do
Put
is
it
we'll
on our
space it out,
Instagram.
and then we'll do probably like a Q&A at the end.
I don't know you can do an anonymous chat in Discord. Yeah, we can do a Q&A at the end. Maybe we can do it for longer because I think right now we're doing like an hour, hour and a half. We can probably do it a longer time so that we
And
can
then, yeah,
also
obviously
hear your
we'll do
input.
the Q&A as long as it doesn't get out of hand.
Mm. But you guys have to have your cameras on to do
Oh,
the Q&A.
so you got to brush your
Okay, your
hair and
boy?
shave.
They were caging us.
It's Friday tonight. Oh, damn. But with that being said, guys,
Don't
thank
forget
you for.
knowledge.
Oh shit, I'm not ready.
No.
I don't remember. We didn't do it
Okay.
last week. I forgot.
Okay, let me show you
What was it?
beforehand. So don't forget, knowledge is the pulse of progress, an invisible current guiding us from what is to what could be. All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Mendoza. Have a beautiful Sunday. It is Labor Day weekend. If you're not working, party. If you are, I'm sorry. But even if you are working, start working on those boundaries. Telling people at work to leave you alone. It's Labor Day.
Or call out. I'm just kidding. Don't call out.
I could put it in the bio too. Okay, I'll reach out to you, Exotic, so you can kind of like give me a guide on how to do it. But have a beautiful and blessed day, everyone. Um,
Hi,
I love you
guys. Thank you
all,
guys for joining.
and yeah, time to go to 7-Eleven. Are you gonna go live after this, or you're done?
Um,
No.
Maybe later.
All right, bye. Love
Bye.
y'all.